Well, hello everyone, my name is Zwiggojr and welcome to my 100 hours in Pokemon Renegade Platinum. If you've seen any of my other 100 hours videos, you know I set myself a bunch of challenges that I'm going to try to complete in these 100 hours. And at the end we find out if I manage to complete every single one of them. And today we're going to try and complete all of these ones. I have to get a Pokemon to level 100. I have to capture one shiny Pokemon. I also have to capture every single Pokemon in the game, which is everything up until Arceus, so 493 Pokemon. And I of course want to be able to beat the Pokemon League, but this is Pokemon Renegade Platinum, a ROM hack of regular Platinum which makes every single Pokemon available as well as adds a ton of events to the game. They also made the game a lot harder, but we're basically a Pokemon master, so we shouldn't have to worry about that. What I do have to worry about is all of the challenges that I've set myself, and I would like to ask you guys to comment down below if you think I'm going to be able to complete everything, and if not, what challenge is going to be too much for me. With that all out of the way, let's try to smash 10,000 likes if you guys want more 100-hour videos, and do not forget to subscribe as well. And that's everything for now. Let's jump right into my 100-hour journey of Pokemon Renegade Platinum. We're also keeping it 100 in this video, so I hope that explains these names. And eventually we wake up, get out of our bed, step out of our house, and get pushed by our rival. We make our way to the edge of the town where we meet up with this region's professor, Rowan, and he lets us pick our starter Pokemon. I'm going with Chimchar on this one since Infernape is the best Pokemon to run through this game with, I'm pretty sure. But I'm already being punished for not picking Piplup as he picks me off in the first fight, making me lose our first battle. Not a great start to the run, but there is something I forgot, pick our window frame. And I went with none other than Type 7. You know what, let me know what your favorite window type is in any Pokemon game. I'd love to know if there's like a specific one that everybody loves. We also have our first meeting with Sonic the Hedgehog down at the lake, but he Sonic speeds his way out of there and we go to the lab to pick up our pokedex. We're going to have to fill this entire thing up. So let's start off by beating up Dawn and grabbing her balls. With these new balls, I terrorize the early routes and capture Cricketods, Bidoofs, Starlies. Nothing that came across my path was safe. But don't worry, I treated them as gods once they entered my team, by shoving them into the PC and never caring about them unless they have to evolve. Pretty early on in the run, we already get ourselves our first evolution, Chimchar into Monferno, before even reaching our second rival battle. But first we have to pick up our Apple Watch, grab some more Pokemon in the surrounding routes, including a Wooper. I know if I didn't include Wooper, some of you would be very angry. But I totally understand, it's cute as heck. Eventually we then plow through our rival's team by punching his little penguin, burning his tweeting bird, and eventually sucking the life out of his Munchlax. On the same route that we just beat him on, we also have the hardest capture of the game, Abra. And since we only have Pokeballs at the moment, we burned through a couple of them before we finally added it to the dex. Our catching spree is not over yet as we grab some more ground and rock types from the surrounding Orberg mines, before finally reaching the gym leader Rourke, smashing some rocks. He lets us pick from a variety of stones, and I decided to pick the ice stone since the weather here where I live is crazy at the moment, and I'm always hot. He then goes back to his gym, but before we follow him there, I grab myself the 3 Hoenn starters by beating up this couple in the Pokemon Center. And you already know that I had to add Mudkip to the team for now. With all of these preparations made, I went to Rourke's gym and kicked my way through all of his rocks and stones, until eventually a tiny little tree took out my fiery monkey. And Mudkip had to finish it with a drop of water. I heard word from the townspeople that Steven Stone was in town too, and he gave me a free Beldum. And this is not going to be the last time we see him, believe me. I also grabbed the Old Rod and captured a Magikarp, and helped old and young people alike by defeating the bowl-cut-haired men. We backtrack a little bit and go to both of the Pokemon centers of the towns and cities we've been in and grab ourselves the Johto and Kanto starters. We only need the 2 missing Sinnoh starters to complete every single one of them, but that's for the post-game. And so we continue our journey to the power plant of this game, the Valley Windworks. I get some electric-type Pokemon there as well as a Drifloon, which I'm pretty stoked about doesn't only spawn on Fridays like in the regular Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. We kick Mars's cat in the face. Don't worry, I'd never do that in real life, because I got two beautiful kitties of my own. We do save the stinky scientist, make our way to the creepy forest, and take on Cheryl. Her Chansey was an easy target for my Mach Punch, and once we're done defeating her, we go through the entire woods and capture quite a lot of Pokemon there. Mostly bug types, but also my two spirit Pokemon, Slackoth and Slowpoke, who sleep most of the time. And I myself love sleeping. Then I want to talk a little bit about the mechanic in this game that is called the honey trees. In regular Pokemon Platinum, Diamond and Pearl, you have to put honey in a tree and then wait a couple of days before a Pokemon will turn up. Well, in this game, you just put honey in the tree and the Pokemon jumps out immediately, so you can keep doing this and get your encounters out of the way pretty quickly. I managed to find some Burmese, a female combi, as well as a Heracross, and much more in these trees. So definitely don't sleep on them if you are playing Pokemon Renegade Platinum yourself. In Eterna City, Cynthia learns us how to cut down trees like a real lumberjack. And before we even challenge the second gym, our Monferno already evolves into an Infernape. It's a good thing he's now got a big flame on his head, which we can use to warm us up as we have to go through the snow to find Giratina somewhere in a ski hut. And we have to bring her back to her gym. But on the way there, we captured some very nice Ice-type Pokemon. And let's take a look at where we're at. We're at 11 hours right now, 1 gym badge, and we've seen 158 Pokemon. So I'd say we're doing pretty well at the moment. I just jump right into the battle with Giratina after and burn through her entire team with Flamethrower. I guess that's what you get for only using grass types against a fire type. And so with our second gym badge in hand, we go through the Team Galactic hideout in this town and beat up Saturn at the top of it. As a reward, we get a Porygon as well as a bike, but we also get the Explorer kit from this old guy. And to all of you who thought he's going to have to go underground to get all of the fossils, you're wrong, because this lady right here is going to give me all of the fossils for free a little bit later on in the game. Our Mudkip also evolved into Marshtomp, and we find ourselves in a random cave with this little girl who lost her ribbon. She decides to be our companion for the day, and as we're walking through the cave, we found some undiscovered Pokemon like Mawile and Gible. We eventually get her ribbon back, and also do our first trade, giving away a Ponyta and getting back a Spheal. We evolve our Clefairy into a Clefable with a Moonstone it was holding itself when I captured it. We also go to the Haunted Mansion in Eterna Forest to grab Rotom. We can now finally move on with the story and battle Dawn again just in front of Mount Coronet. But our over-leveled monkey is way too strong and burns through most of her Pokemon. In Mount Coronet itself, we actually found a Metang, and right outside of it, some really cool Pokemon like Smeargle, the Bob Ross Pokemon. We also found some Spaghetti stuck in a tree, and are so strong that we even managed to beat up the first Elite Four member, Aaron, with our flamethrowers. No way we would have been able to win if we didn't pick Infernape here. A Happiny decides to tackle my legs. We evolve some more Pokemon like Porygon into Porygon 2 and Kirlia into Gallade, and then take our Infernape on a journey through the park. Once we're done being sidetracked, our mother gives us a glitter case as well as a shiny stone. We're not here to do any contests, we're here to beat up the next gym leader, Fontina. We actually managed to reach her at a time of 17 hours and 42 minutes with a Pokedex solo of 237, which means we've almost seen half of the Pokemon in this game already. Doesn't mean we've captured every single one of them though. I wish there was anything interesting about this battle, but it's just me using Flamethrower. And just as I'm about to leave town, we beat up Barry as well by using Flamethrower and then close combats, but as he's finally about to let us through to go to the next round, we get stopped by one of the mates of a surrounding mansion, which is apparently being invaded by Team Galactic. As we arrive, we see that a Happiny and some Clefairies somehow blow up a Team Galactic grunt, and since we weren't supposed to witness this, the Happiny gives me a lucky egg as a bribe to keep me quiet. Saturn and his hostage, the owner of this place, then come out of the trophy garden to try and crush me and my rival in a battle. We showed them that's not going to be possible, and after the battle, our Marshtomp evolved into a Swampert. Since we saved this entire place, we now get free access to the trophy garden, where we grab 7 EVs to be able to do all of the evolutions later, as well as some baby Pokemon. Another cool thing, you get the Manaphy egg from one of the nurses here, and this is actually the only Pokemon we're going to have to breed because Fion is the only Pokemon we can get out of an egg that isn't available in the wild. Eventually we put this odd keystone in this well and the spirit tube jumped out. I would have wished this was my shiny, but sadly enough it wasn't. Still a very cool Pokemon though. While we're talking about shinies anyway, let me know in the comments down below what you think will be my shiny Pokemon if I even get one. I then decided to check my Pokedex and we see that we're at around 160 Pokemon obtained and 270 seen. We then do some stair climbing in a spooky tower and go to the top. There's actually nothing here except for a spell tag, but this old man does some foreshadowing for later talking about Ho-Oh. Of course, this wouldn't be a spooky tower if I didn't capture some ghost Pokemon, and eventually found our way through some ruins where we met up with Lucian, the 4th Elite Four member. He gives us a TM, and once we explore the ruins ourselves, we find this odd room with 4 Pokeballs in it as well as a sign that says something about a sleeping Pokemon. Can you guess who we're going to have to encounter here later? Then we go to the local daycare and talk to this girl who you can use as an EV trainer as well as an experienced trainer. So we'll definitely be coming back to her once we have to do a bunch of evolutions. The next round is kind of like the Kanto Safari Zone, getting a Scyther, a Tauros, and a Pinsir there. And I then put some more honey into a tree and found a 1% encounter Munchlax. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have to evolve this thing too, because I don't think a Snorlax is going to be out there in the wild somewhere. We then do so many evolutions, Porygon 2 into Porygon Z, some of the evolutions, and then also Gligar into Gliscor and Sneasel into Weavile. With all of these top tier Pokemon out of the way, we finally go to the 4th gym, which is guarded by Maylene and her fighting types. And we're about 1/4 of the way there. But we've already seen 303 Pokemon, so I don't think we have that much to worry about. We showed Maylene what it's really like being a top tier fighting type Pokemon, and in the end my Kalava was so stoked that it evolved into a Typhlosion. 4 gym badges on our side, so let's save Dawn from some more Team Galactic grunts, as they stole her Pokedex. With these good deeds out of the way, Looker shows us around the warehouse and gives us the HM for Fly. We then fly to the next town, but the gym leader isn't here. He's at the end of the swampy area. But before we reach that, we capture some more Pokemon like a Ditto and a Grimer, but we also do our first friendship evolution, Togepi into Togetic. Since Crusher Wake loves water, he's standing in the rain at the end of the route, and just as we're about to tell him that we want to challenge him at his gym, he finally goes back to work. But he actually goes the wrong way. So since we reached the gym before him, we're going to have to wait until he's back, and while we're waiting, show our rival how you actually have to win a Pokemon battle. The secret is just overlevel one of your Pokemon and proceed to make your opponent's life miserable by fire punching every single one of his Pokemon in the face. There isn't much time between Maylene and Crusher Wake as we're now at the 30-hour mark, but somehow we've managed to see about 40 Pokemon in this short time span. Crusher Wake was actually the hardest battle in this entire run for me because, I only have my Infernape, nothing else, and he's not going to do too well against the rain team. So I brought in a backup crew consisting of Ludicolo, Golbat, and Lapras to try and take down Crusher Wake without many problems. Once we showed our combined team's power, we finally earn ourselves our 5th gym badge, but then some unfortunate events unfold as the Safari Zone is blown up. As we're about to chase the culprit, we first grab some snails, including a Gastrodon, and I think Shuckle is some kind of snail. Don't really know though, it might just be the god of all things. Eventually, we also run into Cynthia, who orders us to go spray some water in Psyduck's eyes. But before we do that, I look through my binoculars and go back to the Safari Zone to capture some very rare Pokemon, including a Kangaskhan, Carnivine, Yanma, and much more. The Psyduck then finally left their usual spot, and we can go through the foggy route and get beaten up by this double battle. Probably one of the hardest regular fights in this game that I've stumbled upon. Eventually we just sneak by them, and at the end of the round we find some really cool Pokemon, including a Shelgon and a Skarmory. And of course, just as we're about to step foot into the new town, we get stopped by Dawn again. We do some more punching with our monkey, get $0 from her, cheapskate, and go to the local ruins to see it almost being blown up by another Team Galactic grunt. To chase them out of here forever and always, we first beat up their boss Cyrus. Luckily for us, 1 swords dance and 4 fire punches later, and he's running off like a baby who just got his candy stolen. And in our quest of evolving even more starter Pokemon, we also get Blaziken, and the HM for Surf from Cynthia's mother. We then get a quest from Cynthia to go and check out the Pal Park, which isn't even functional in this game. But in the Pal Park itself, we found Derek and Caitlin, who I think are from some sort of battle tower. They do have an Entei on their side, so we just swords dance up and fire punch in close combat again. At the end of the battle, they give us some sweet tea. As it turns out, we have to give it to the guards just in front of Canalave City, because otherwise we're not getting in. They really decided to make this Saffron City 2.0, eh? I then checked my Pokedex and saw that I have now got 244 Pokemon. So we're almost halfway there. Just as we're about to cross the bridge to go to the next gym leader, we get stopped by our rival again. But since we have a level 69 monkey on our side, we 69 our way through his entire team again, then taking the boat and reaching Iron Island, where we have to beat up Riley. If it wasn't for Swords Dance, I probably wouldn't have been able to do this, but with my attack buffs we easily overpowered him, added him to our side by walking through the cave and stopping Team Galactic from doing even more schemes together with him. In the cave itself, we captured some Pokemon, also evolved our Bayleaf into a Meganium, and did an evolution that gave us 2 Pokemon, Ninjask and Shedinja. We all know that Byron is the next gym leader and he has steel types, which means that our fire monkey has 2 type advantages against him, so fire punches and close combats carried me through the fight. We get the mine badge, go to the local library and talk to the professor and our 2 rivals. But as we're talking about some really important stuff, one of the sailors comes up and tells us that the 3 lakes have been attacked by Team Galactic as they're trying to steal the Lake Trio. As the protagonist of this game, we first go and take on Saturn, but after we defeated them, we see that they've already taken Azelf. So after this, we go to Mesprit's place to try and save Dawn and the Professor, but these were the only 2 we were able to save, as Mars has already stolen Mesprit away. We then follow their trail and eventually know that we have to go to Snowpoint Temple first. But before we do that, we do some more evolutions, getting Game Freak's favorite Pokemon, Charizard, and a Crobat. Just before Snowpoint City, we also captured some more Ice-type Pokemon like Jinx and an Abominable Snowman, before having to put a giant god to sleep with our bare hands. Once the gym leaders see our strength, we get the opportunity to take on Candice. And this is also why we picked Infernape, another gym leader that's weak to us, has both of our typings shred through their team and melt every single one of her Pokemon. At the lake, we see that our rival is crying since he lost to one of the Team Galactic commanders. And once she fled, we follow her trail down to Team Galactic's hideout in Valstone City, as we see a very inspirational speech from Cyrus.
Oh no! Our table is broken!
And destroy him in his own office. As a bribe to not come after him again, he gives us a Master Ball, but we're still going to try and stop him. So we go to the basement, beat up his admin, and grab the Lake Trio so that it can help us to try and save the world. We know that our next destination is going to be Mount Coronet, so that's where we go next. And here's when I found my first shiny Pokemon, Shiny Bronzong. It's a mid-shiny for me, not amazing looking. I think it would be cooler if Bronzong was like a gold color, but still not going to complain about it at all. Once we're done capturing it, we beat up even more admins together with our rival at the top of the spare pillar. And just as we're about to take on Cyrus, he spawns in Dialga and Palkia, who in their turn then summon Giratina, who opens up a portal to an entire new dimension. Me and Cynthia jump in together, and I know she's the champion and she should probably be taking care of this, but we're up against Palkia and Dialga right now, 2 gods of time and space. Luckily, we have a monkey that can set up swords dances and punch them all into oblivion. At least that's what I thought, but the Palkia has survived with a little bit of HP, and my level 37 Pidgeot was somehow able to take down a level 70 Palkia. My Infernape then swept through Cyrus's team as well by using one more swords dance and some fire punches and close combats, and eventually we reached Giratina. I decided to not use my Master Ball and just lobbed some Ultra Balls at it until I captured it. We then get sent back to the regular world and do some more Pokemon capturing. First, I found a portal where a Suicune was hiding in. Then I captured all of the Pokemon just outside of the last city, including a big boy Wailord. And at the Lighthouse, we met up with Volkner, who went back to his gym so we can challenge him. We also managed to evolve our Wartortle in the Blastoise while I was making my way through the gym trainers, and at 47 hours and 439 Pokemon seen, we finally get a chance at earning our last gym badge. I also have 287 Pokemon right now, so we're definitely over halfway there. This battle was once again easy, with Infernape sweeping everything. We then go to the beach to get ourselves the HM from Waterfall, from the girl of the Magnemite art that's pretty sus, and then we make our way through Victory Road, finding ourselves our second shiny Pokemon, a golden Lickitung. Top tier shiny in my opinion, absolutely love the color palette. We also grab a Gabite so that we don't have to level up our Gibble, evolve our Chansey into a Blissey, and find another portal with the legendary fire-type Pokemon Moltres in it. Once we tame the mighty beast, we go through a side cave with Marley, and once I reach the end of the cave and bringing her outside, we can go to the Pokemon League and challenge Aaron once again. This fight went no different as the first time we fought him. Our Infernape just fire punched through everything. The second Elite Four member Bertha was a little bit harder to take down as we needed help from Giratina, Suicune, and Moltres, because Infernape couldn't do it on his own, as he was weak to everything on our team. We also show Flint who the best fire-type user is here, and it's clearly me. Once the battle was over though, my Metang evolved into a Metagross, which is one big evolution out of the way already. Our last opponent was Lucian. I was able to just set up 2 Swords Dances on Mr. Mime and sweep through his entire team with Fire Punch. But then, it was time for our final showdown with Cynthia. And she was somehow easier than Bertha. I was able to set up 3 Swords Dances on Togekiss and then take out every single one of her Pokemon in just one hit with Fire Punches and close combats, giving me the title of Champion of the Sinnoh region and crossing that off our list. And all of that was done in 55 hours. Which means we still have 45 hours left to get our Infernape to level 100 as well as complete our entire Pokedex. But we've got quite a lot of post-game to do. First off, I went to the Creation Trio and captured Mesprit, Azelf, and Yuxi at their respective lakes. After capturing Yuxi, I stayed in Snowpoint City and took the boat to the battlegrounds. Here we had a rematch battle with our rival against Flint and Volkner. It wasn't really too hard to take both of them out, as my rival now has a very decent team himself and actually helped me. Once the battle was over though, our Sentret evolved into Furret, and our rival ran off to the battle tower, but just as he's about to run in, his father comes out, who's actually the leader of the battle tower. I was going to add in defeat the entire battle tower in this challenge too, but we definitely would not have had enough time to do that, as we would probably have to build an actual competitive team to do that. Once all of that shenanigans is over, Buck talks to us and tells us that there's 6 extra gym leaders scattered around this part of the region. Once we get all 6 of their gym badges, we can go and take on Stark Mountain to progress through more story. So first, I went to an island that I literally didn't even know existed up until this video. Then I flexed with all of my hard-earned money that I gained throughout this entire run and bought myself a villa in the nicest part of town. But I couldn't really bother putting any furniture in it. Once that was done, we evolved some Pokemon and went around fighting every single one of these gym leaders, which are basically just ace trainers with some pretty decent teams. In between these battles, we also captured every single Pokemon we hadn't captured on these 3 islands, and also get this big slacking that's pinking his nose. Our Infernape managed to get the normal badge, acid badge, shadow badge, Fang badge, and then while I was just looking for some Pokemon I hadn't captured yet, I ran into a shiny Fearow, our 3rd shiny of the run. I know Renegade Platinum has boosted odds, but running into 3 shinies already is pretty damn cool to see. We then get our final 2 badges and head on over to Buck at Stark Mountain. Before he decides to come with us and go through Stark Mountain as our companion, we have to show him that we are indeed a worthy ally. And I used a really complicated strategy to do this, namely clicking Swords Dance and doing Fire Punches. I know it's something you've never seen before, but that's how I beat Buck. As we enter Stark Mountain, we get ambushed by Saturn and Mars. And they got some flashbacks from Spear Pillar as I beat all of their Pokemon into a pulp with Infernape. But Sharon was able to escape into the volcano with his 2 grunts. So me and Buck go after him, and just as we're about to go head to head with him, Luker unveils that he was a rock all this time and arrests them. He thanks us one last time, and normally the post game would be over here, but we got so much more to do before we can end off everything. First, I went to this cafe on this island where every single gym leader and major character is just sitting, and you can battle every single one of them. There is even a gauntlet battle where if you defeat every single one of them in a row, you get yourself a free Master Ball. I didn't have time to do that right now, so I went out and tried to capture more Pokemon. Oh yeah, and while I was in this cafe, my Infernape also reached level 100, which means we can also cross that off the list. Starting off by going back to Mount Coronet and finding a portal there, and in the portal we see an icy bird named Articuno. We put it in one of our balls, go to the top of Spear Pillar, and see that Dialga and Palkia have spawned there as well. Once we showed them Giratina, they just gave up and decided to team up with me. We then try to save the sailor's son who's been in a coma for the past couple of months because he's having nightmares that Darkrai is causing, so he sails us off to New Moon Island to capture Cresselia there. With the lunar wing we get from Cresselia, we wake up the boy, and the sailor is so thankful. I go to the professor's lab to pick up the same briefcase we did at the start of the game, this time getting Piplup and Turtwig added to the team. We then found Oak's hiding place, or maybe just his house, and once we talk to him, he gives us the Oak's letter, which we can use to go and capture Shaman if we want to. But first we go to the power plant again and capture Zapdos, who comes out of a portal there. Then I go to the Ironworks where we capture even more Pokemon that I didn't capture before, and go back to Professor Oak to start another quest. We show him that we have captured Moltres, Articuno, and Zapdos, and then our clear wing turns into a silver wing. Then, Professor Oak gives us the location of Lugia, who's in a portal that's located west of the Pulp Park. The next legendary I found was Entei, who was at a rock climb location just like Suicune. And all the way down at the bottom of Orberg Tunnel, we found Mewtwo in a portal as well, because everything has to come out of a portal that isn't from this region. I then stumbled upon the coolest side quest ever, the Celebi one. I went to Eterna Forest with a GS ball in my inventory. Then you talk to a portal and Celebi emerges. Then he goes back into his portal and starts teleporting around the forest. And every time you interact with a portal, you have to fight one of the Johto gym leaders and their ace Pokemon. Once you've defeated every single one of them, Celebi reveals itself and you get the opportunity to capture it. The next few legendary Pokemon require some puzzling to do, so we capture a Relicanth and put a Wailord at the end of our party so that we can go and capture Regirock, Registeel, and Regice. By walking on a specific set of tiles in these locations, you can get a Regirock in the desert, Regice in Mount Coronet where you find the Never Melt Ice, and Registeel on Iron Island at the end of the cave. With these 3 Regis in my party, I could then go to the Snowpoint Temple and challenge the big god Regigigas. I once again manhandle him with my bare hands and make sure he stays asleep, but this time in my ball. Then it's time to turn up the heat again and go back to the volcano where we find Heatran. Once you capture Heatran, you get the Magma Stone, and you can show this one to Steven Stone, and then he will give you another quest. He first gives you the Soul Dew and then sends you on a journey to New Moon Island again. Once you talk to the weird rock that spawned there, Latios and Latias show up. You can then catch each one of them and show them to Steven, and then he will give you the Blue Orb, Red Orb, and Jade Orb. And I think it's pretty clear where we're going with this. Before we capture the Weather Trio though, I decided to check up on my time. I'm at 69 hours right now, and we've already seen 470 Pokemon. With this update out of the way, I went to the Pokemon League, surfed down the waterfall, and found Rayquaza jumping out of a portal. In Mount Coronet, I found myself the portal of Kyogre, and Groudon was located at the start of Stark Mountain. I then traveled around the region and fulfilled people's wishes, like showing them exact Pokemon, or just giving them something they need. Once I fulfilled all these wishes, I grabbed myself a Jigglypuff and went down to the Unknown Ruins. All the way at the bottom where those 4 Pokeballs were, as well as the sign, Giratina has now spawned. Once you talk to it with a Jigglypuff in your party, the Jigglypuff starts singing and it wakes up the Giratina. You can then capture it and do as many wishes as you want. I wish to know the location of more legendary Pokemon, so I went to Valstone City and talked to all of the meteorites to spawn in Deoxys. Once the DNA Pokemon was finally mine, I went back to Snowpoint City, then went out into a snowstorm and eventually entered a cabin. In this cabin there was a weird woman talking about Darkrai. She gave me a membership card, and with this membership card I could go to Canalave City, enter a house that's normally locked, and enter a deep sleep. This deep sleep brings me to New Moon Island where I can capture Darkrai. So if anybody's being rude to me, I can now give them eternal nightmares. I was then riding my bike around the region and found another rock climb spot. Once I got up there, we saw that Raikou, the final member of the legendary beast, was hiding here. I would have added him to my box never to be used again, but first I brought him and his 2 brothers to Professor Oak. Then another clear wing turned into the rainbow wing. I went to the top of the Salation Town tower, and over there was a portal now. The rainbow wing started shining and Ho-Oh popped out. I was once again able to capture it quite easily, and then I had a weird encounter with a Shroomish. I gave it an Oranberry because it looked hungry, and it then turned into a Mew. The same happened to a Baneri I found just outside of the daycare. I then found a Torchic just under the Safari Zone who needed an old Gateau, and just above my hometown I found a Pachirisu that needed some help. Then Mew finally saw that I was a good person and allowed me to capture him. I then finally decided to put Oak's letter to good use and talk to that weird rock just outside of Victory Road, which spawned an entire grass patch of flowers. At the end of it, I could challenge Shaman to add my last mythical to the Pokedex. I then grabbed all of the fossils from the lady at the Explorer Kit's man's house and started lobbing my fishing rod in every pool of water I could find around the region to grab a ton of water types that I missed out on while running through the region regularly. And at the end of it, I even found myself a Dragonair, which is going to make getting Dragonite a lot easier. Once I was done fishing, I grabbed my tablet and started using the Poke Radar, as some of the Pokemon are locked behind it, like Tyrogue. I had to get 3 of these because I needed Hitmontop, Hitmonchan, and Hitmonlee. I then went to Route 1 to capture a Doduo with the Poke Radar, grabbed a Plusle and a Minun at the Valley Windworks, a Wynot at the First Lake, a Wobbuffet at Uxie's Lake, and the last 4 Pokemon, Stantler, Dunsparce, Castform, and Kecleon, were the last 4 I needed to get all of the Poke Radar encounters out of the way. At this point, I have gathered 417 Pokemon, captured almost every Pokemon, with a couple of exceptions in there. One of those exceptions was an Aron, so I went to the Orberg mine to try and get one, but over here I found my 4th shiny Pokemon, Zubat. I actually quite like shiny Zubat and Golbat, but shiny Crobat just doesn't look that good. And if you've made it this far into the video, let me know in the comments down below what your last shiny Pokemon was that you found, because this was mine. I eventually also found my Aron, then evolved my Feebas into a Milotic with a Prism Scale, also found a Riolu in Orberg Tunnel, and then went on over to the daycare lady to grind up all of my Pokemon and get those final evolutions in. And final is a little bit of an understatement because I had quite a lot to go, having to do some of the big ones like Vibrava into Flygon, Shelgon into Salamence, and Pupitar into Tyranitar, but also some regular ones like Staraptor, Ambipom, and Mamoswine. I also grabbed all of the Hitmon brothers and did the regular trade evolutions like Machoke into Machamp, Kadabra into Alakazam, and all of that stuff. They just evolve at level 36, so it wasn't too bad getting those. I then went to Mount Coronet and used some of my saved up rare candies to evolve Nosepass into Probopass and Magneton into Magnezone. The last couple of Pokemon I needed to get were some stone and item evolutions, like Poliwhirl into Poliwag, Execute into Exeggutor, and Nuzleaf into Shiftry. Once I was done with all of these Pokemon, I had 492 Pokemon registered in my Pokedex, which means I only needed one more. Arceus. And we still have 14 hours remaining to do his entire quest line, which is quite a lot to do. So first you have to go to the church in Hearthome City and talk to this old lady. She then tells us that she worships Arceus, but that you can only go and challenge him if you're the champion of Sinnoh and have captured all of the other 492 Pokemon available. Once you do that, she gives you a quest going around the region and defeating all of the plate holders. That's right, all of the plates are guarded by a person that specifies in that typing. So you've got the fighting plate and the fire plate, which I easily destroyed with my Infernape. But then once I tried to go to the splash plate owner, I couldn't use my Infernape because I had to use a water type to beat them. This is basically the challenge fighting fire with fire. Use their typings against them and make sure you can win. What I did for most of these battles was just use Toxic on their Pokemon and then use Protect and heal up with full restores. But sometimes I couldn't do that, like with the Steel and the Poison typing who can't get poisoned by Toxic, so I actually had to grind up some Pokemon and then beat them at their own game. Once you get yourself every single plate, you can go back to the church, talk to the woman, and she will give you the Azure Flute. Then you go up to Spare Pillar, and with 94 hours and 54 minutes on the clock, I summoned Arceus' stairs, climbed them, and fought God himself. It wasn't much of a fight though, as Dialga was already 6 levels higher than Arceus at this point, and I didn't really want to embarrass it. So I saved up my Master Ball for this moment, threw it at Arceus, captured it, and completed my Pokedex. Then I went to talk to the professor, but he doesn't seem to acknowledge that I've completed everything there is to complete. So I spent the last 4 hours of my journey just running through the grass, trying to find a shiny Pokemon, but unfortunately I wasn't able to find a single shiny anymore, and then the time ran out. The 100-hour mark has been reached, and we have managed to complete every single task I set myself in this video. I take one last look at the team members that helped me through this run and made everything so special. Once I said my final goodbyes, I turned off my game and thanked my Patreon and membership supporters for supporting the video. If you want to do so yourself, you can click the links in the description. It is always appreciated but not needed. As always, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends if you enjoyed it. I'm zwiggojr, and I'll see you guys next time.